Hello there guys, welcome back to Younes Talks Football. I hope all of you are doing well as we wake up on a pretty cloudy morning, it seems. And cloudy morning still at Chelsea, possibly for some of you, because you're probably waiting for an announcement and you're going, what the hell is taking so long? Why? I'm getting it in the comments. And I hope my explanation yesterday in both videos did help you guys just, it's fine. Give it a little bit of time. I think we might get maybe a confirmation of Hato, and apparently that is the right way of saying it. So you guys in my comments that have been telling me, nah, but you guys have been getting it wrong, Younes. That's not how you say it. You need to go back and revise, do some homework. Go back, because apparently that is the right way. Well, according to what I've seen. Anyway, we might get an announcement later today. Not an announcement from Chelsea. I'm saying, Fabrizio, David Ornstein, blah, 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 the rest of the gang, Ben Jacobs, everyone coming out and saying that Hato to Chelsea is done. Maybe that happens today. Maybe. But I did give you guys my thoughts on all of that yesterday. Make sure you go and check out those videos from yesterday. But today, we've got, well, I want to say a little bit of an update. There's not really an update, but we know that Hato and Simons to Chelsea is really close. But there's one extra little bit that we've got this morning that's making me think, hang on, how is it what? Doesn't make sense. According to Simon Johnson, because we got the Athletic today, says Hato and Simons have become the main focus. However, this does not mean Chelsea spending would be over. You can look at it two ways here. This either means that Garnacho, just on its own, is happening, and then that would be maybe the end of Chelsea spending. Or the way this sounds like, he could have easily just gone, no, you know what, after these two, we're going to get Garnacho and then it's done. But he didn't. He says Chelsea spending won't be over. That makes it sound like we're going to go and get 2 or 3 more new players, even after Hato and Simons. I don't see it personally. Well, not I don't see it. I mean, I can see it. I can see how it can happen, but is it necessary at that point? Some would argue that we need a goalkeeper, obviously. There's the whole Sanchez debate as to whether he's capable or not going into next season. But apart from that, if we get Simons, we get Hato, even Garnacho, and that's a divisive figure, I understand. Do we need anyone else after that? I think we would have spent quite a lot at that point. I would be satisfied, if I'm being completely honest. At that point, I'm good. The goalkeeper is the one point, like I've said, I would happily take a goalkeeper, 100%. The right one, though. And for me, Mike Maignan was that, and he's not leaving AC Milan now, it seems. He's definitely in Allegri's plans. He is the captain. It seems like he's not moving. Maybe he won't sign a new deal, and maybe in January we will go back in when he's on a free. That's a possibility. But yeah, apart from that, don't see it. So we'll see what happens in relation to that. But talking about Garnacho, let's get into this one. According to the Athletic today, this morning, Garnacho continues to wait for Chelsea. We also had an explanation from CFCPYS in terms of what he's heard, saying that Chelsea believe Garnacho is a great fit for Maresca's system on and off the ball. Discussions ongoing behind the scenes for weeks with his representatives. Garnacho wants to live in London. Similarly to what I said yesterday in terms of Chelsea having the leverage in this deal, and why I think it would be best if Chelsea went in for a loan with an option to buy and not just go in and just give them money. Similarly to how they did for Rashford. And I think some people might look at that and go, no, but United won't allow that, surely. They won't let Rashford go on a loan and then Garnacho go on a loan. Right now, what choice do they have? No one else is coming in for Garnacho. Garnacho's requests are quite narrow. Chelsea are the only club that fits his demand, and he's not in the United plan. It would be beneficial for Man United if he actually got minutes somewhere, played, increased his value, and then sold him, which is what I think they're looking to do with Rashford anyway. United are not in a great position, and I think Chelsea should leverage that, because at the end of next season, we will know if he's good enough or he's not. I would allow a loan with an option. I think that's something that would be quite beneficial. I think for Chelsea, I think for the player, I think even for United, everyone's a winner here. So it would make sense, but I wouldn't want us to go and splash 70 million on Garnacho right now. Yeah, I wouldn't. But I think United don't have the upper hand. I think Chelsea have the leverage here, and I think they should utilise it. So, Garnacho, wanting London and continues to wait for Chelsea. Well, that's that. In terms of how he plays, I can understand where Chelsea would be looking at all of these different factors in terms of how he's going to fit, and it seems like this is why I'm not totally against it. Because does Garnacho have those tools? Yeah, maybe he does have those tools. How much of it is down to Man United? I think a big portion is down to Man United as to why he hasn't looked good, much like other players. I do think he has some responsibility. But there's something in my gut telling me, you know what? He might just thrive. He might just thrive. Maybe. People are worried about his attitude and his, his brother or his social media antics. I think most of that has been more towards his brother. And as long as that's not really an issue or he's not involved, I don't see where that would... Chelsea surely monitor that. I'd like to think we're not dumb to that point where we just disregard something like that. And there's been cases before where we look at disciplinary issues in order to pursue or not pursue. John Duran would be a Chelsea player right now if it wasn't for it. You know, I would like to think Chelsea are doing their homework on that. I mean, we look at all the data in the world, right? So, Garnacho, let's wait and see how this one's going to pan out. But on the contrary, at Manchester United, we know that Garnacho to Chelsea is a possibility, but we know that they're interested in a striker. Well, apparently they're not. Because according to Scott Saunders today, and according to some others, including The Athletic, it seems like Nicholas Jackson to Manchester United is not happening. Or it's off, at least to Scott Saunders saying that both Nicholas Jackson and Emi Martinez to Manchester United is ruled out. Not happening. According to Matt Law, Nicholas Jackson is in a slightly strange situation of being on the list of most clubs, but is nobody's number one target. Nobody's. That doesn't sit well, does it? This is where yesterday I said in my video I was hoping that, you know what, maybe there can be competition here between Sesko and Jackson. Whoever gets Sesko, the other team would have to settle for Jackson. Maybe that still is the case, but I'd like to think that there is a drive to try and pursue Jackson. I wouldn't want us to be in a situation where end of the window comes, there's been all this interest, nothing happens, he doesn't move, and then he doesn't play, and then he just sits there and does nothing. I wouldn't want that. But like I said, I still think a move eventually happens. And we'll see who ends up with Sesko. Maybe it's just going to be a case of desperation. Maybe. Whoever it is, Man United or Newcastle. And right now it seems like it could be Newcastle. But according to Matt Law, it might not just be Newcastle. There is one team from abroad who apparently could be interested in Nicholas Jackson. Who is it? Well, according to what you said, Juventus want to sell Dusan Vlahovic, and if they do, there is every likelihood they will target Nicholas Jackson. Juve would be able to pay around 60 million for a new striker. Chelsea value Jackson north of 60 million, but he could go for less outside of the Premier League. And this makes sense. You can't have the same demands for Premier League clubs as you do for an Italian club, for example, because you just know an Italian club is not in the same financial situation. They can't afford 80 or 100. They just can't. No one can. No big Italian club can. The same goes for Spain, unless you're talking to Real Madrid or Barcelona. Or even Germany. No one's going to pay 80 or 100. You're only going to get that in the Premier League. So you have to be realistic. If there is no feasible move within the Premier League and you're looking abroad, you've got to be a little bit fair and you need to come to a compromise. And like we said yesterday, if we're valuing Jackson at 80 to 100 and we get 65, 70, we've been saying, listen, we'll snap that handoff immediately. Well, if we're talking to Juventus, for example, and they offer 60, I think we should still do the same. That's the best we're going to get from abroad. So, and people who are concerned about Nico Jackson being sold in the Premier League won't need to worry, because if he's not in the Premier League playing for one of our competitors, then we're in the clear, right? You would think. So if he's abroad doing his thing and he's playing, and good luck to him, and he's not interfering in what we're doing, then great, right? Everyone's a winner. So this is where, look, I think there has to be a bit of fairness, and if Juventus are in fact interested, I think we would need to compromise. But Man United, Newcastle, or even Aston Villa, nah. Listen, you're paying up. You're all paying up. You're paying up properly, and that's exactly what needs to happen. So let me know your thoughts. Where would you prefer to see Nico Jackson, firstly? And what fee would you want to see for Nico Jackson? No, actually, no, let me take that back. What fee would you accept? If you had to accept a fee for Nicolas Jackson, what would you do? Like the minimum? 50? Would you take 50? 55? 60? 65? What would you do? Let me know down below. Let me know down below. Now, let's talk about a couple of other things elsewhere, as I want to make sure that I do cover everything before we wrap up, and then we get to video number 2 later on tonight. So make sure you guys are there for that. There is an update from The Athletic, Ben Chilwell. Chelsea are struggling to offload Ben Chilwell. No club has come in for him yet. Great. We have to put him out on a car boot sale at this point. You know, him and Sterling. This is exactly why Chelsea don't want to go in for players on high wages. And as much as I believe if you're one of the best, right, like there's an exception to the rule always. Rodrigo, for example, I think is a player that does warrant a top salary, right? He's bringing a lot with him. It makes sense. He plays for Real Madrid. He's won everything. It makes sense. But it's not for everyone. You know, it's not for everyone. So in this case, this is why I think, and to be fair, I don't even think it's Ben Chilwell's fault. It's just not worked. Since the new ownership come in with Ben Chilwell, it's just not worked. Prior to that, he was one of our main starters. But now he finds himself in a situation coming towards, I don't know how long he's got left on his contract, where we can't get rid, because he's on an extremely high salary. He's going to have to compromise, much like Raheem Sterling's going to have to compromise, and we're going to have to hope that we can get some sort of a deal. And you know what? Just like Garnacho and Rashford at United, we might have to just accept another loan. We might have to. And then, you know, compromise on salary. We maybe pay half of it. That way he gets some football, try and increase his value, try and get some demand, and then we sell him later. That might be the only way. And this is what the situation United are in. This is why we have leverage over them for Garnacho. And this is why no one is coming in for Chilwell, and we don't have leverage over everyone else for Chilwell. And the same can be said for Sterling, although it seems like there's a little bit more demand for Sterling, and we're getting that from Napoli apparently. Antonio Conte, big up to him. So we need to see how this one goes. There is still time in the window. Chilwell's not in the plan, so I don't think it's an urgent sale that needs to be made right now. That is something technically that can go all the way till deadline day for Chilwell, because he's not playing. But then again, you'd want him to be involved in the pre-season somewhere. If a club are going to go in for him, they better come in for him now, because if not, he's not going to be involved in pre-season. So it's a tough one. It's a tough one when it comes to Chilwell. Let's wait and see what's going to happen there with Ben. It's a crazy situation with Ben Chilwell. I never thought we'd be in a situation where Chilwell would be out of demand, not playing, and there's no move for him. Crazy what can happen. It's actually insane what can happen from time to time. You cannot call it. So that's that with Ben Chilwell. Let me know your thoughts down below on what you think will happen with him, or what you think we should do with him. And to wrap up, I do want to mention this because this is important to an extent. But Chelsea have announced that Chelsea under-21's head coach, Felipe Coelloo, who came in last year, if I'm not mistaken, or was it the year before, has left the club to join French side RC Strasbourg as assistant head coach. So we're developing coaches now too. We are developing coaches. This, I do want to try and piece things together here. Maresca is safe right now. Very safe. But what I think is happening here is, even when it comes to coaches, we now have a sort of hierarchy. And there is a developmental system going on here, even with coaches, which I think can be a good thing, I'll be honest. I think that can turn into a good thing. Should something happen with Maresca, should he not, deliver to the top level, and I think right now he has exceeded expectations beyond belief. Fair play to him, right? And he's the one that has impressed me the most out of everybody. Liam Rosenior at Strasbourg is doing very well. Don't be surprised if in future that is someone Chelsea turn to. In case something happens with Maresca, we turn to Liam. If something happens to Liam and Liam gets the call up, Felipe Coelloo becomes manager at Strasbourg. And remember, we brought him in from Portugal, if I'm not mistaken, to come and sort out the under-21s because he was in charge of youth football. That is his step up too. It seems like we've got that structure going on. We're not developing just players, we're developing coaches, we're developing scouts, we're developing everyone, it seems like, you know. We're developing everybody. So that's the latest on Coelho. He is left, but he's not left. He's left, but he's got a promotion, technically, and he's still under the umbrella. So he's still hired, right? He's not been fired. He's still hired. He's not left completely. He's just gone to Strasbourg. So that's the latest on Felipe Coelho. And that concludes today's first video. So let me know your thoughts down below. Much appreciated. I will be here later tonight. Make sure you guys are here. It will be a little, not a little bit of a late one, a normal one, I would say. So make sure you guys are here for it. Subscribe, notification bell on, and I'll catch all of you tonight. In a bit, look after yourselves, take care, see you later, and peace.